Well, hello there. It is Thursday, January 27th. It is the 27th day of Vloguary, and today we're going to do a 1,000 Trails recap. So as you know, I have been a 1,000 Trails member pretty much since I started traveling back in January. I think my membership actually started it started in January. Let's start with the basics, because I've been struggling with how to organize this video. So first thing, we're going to talk about what is 1,000 Trails. We're going to talk about some of the other benefits that 1,000 Trails members get that I don't think a lot of people know about. And then we're going to talk about the different types of passes that you have in the different zones. We'll go over the good and the bad. We'll go over some of my personal experiences staying at 1,000 Trails parks. And then we'll talk about if it could be right for you or not, because it's not right for everybody. We'll just leave it at that, all right? So let's start out. What is 1,000 Trails? 1,000 Trails is a membership program where you can buy a membership and then you can stay at any 1,000 Trails park for free. Essentially, that's what it is. So there are over 200 different parks around the country, but the majority of them are in California, Washington, Oregon, Texas. I'm sorry, yeah, some Texas, I think Florida, along the East Coast and up that way. There's none in the Midwest and through the Central Valley or the Central California, Central States, Central United States. There's none over there. So think of it as like you have California here, and it goes up and around the perimeter, and then up through California or up through Florida, and then all the way up to New York and up through Chicago. So just that, but that center area, there's just really nothing there. So if you're really planning on camping in like a Kansas or an Iowa or one of those kind of, I don't want to say flyover states and be mean, but one of those places, you probably aren't going to get a lot of use out of it. But for me, there's tons of parks here in California, Arizona, Washington, and Oregon that just make sense. So it worked for me. So that's why I said I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna get this membership. And I'll go into the type of membership that I got into a little bit in this video. 1,000 Trails is owned by a company called RPI. That stands for Resorts Park International. And RPI has even way more holdings than just campgrounds. There's RV travel campgrounds, there's camping, and I think they even do some hotels and some other stuff. So 1,000 Trails is part of a larger group. And as a 1,000 Trails member, you can even stay at some RPI parks that are even nicer than some of the 1,000 Trails ones. Oh, by the way, let me back up a bit. 1,000 Trails parks are broken up into two different classes. You have the 1,000 Trails, which is your standard, RV resort. And then you have the Encore edition. And if you go to 1000trails.com, you can see the Encore parks are indicated with like blue. Those are mostly located in like snowbird states like Arizona and Florida. And they're nicer, more amenities and all that. So yeah, 1,000 Trails. Within 1,000 Trails, you have two different types of campgrounds. You have the 1,000 Trails campgrounds. And then you have the Encore campgrounds. Then above that, you have RPI, Resorts Parks International. And again, sometimes you get a lot of really great deals on that. For example, I stayed at an RPI park in Desert Hot Springs, California, right outside of Palm Springs. And I think the deal on that one was 50% off your second night after you pay the first one regular price. You get other ones at 50% off. I stayed at one, I didn't write it down. I stayed at another one, or it was just 50% off, period, the entire time that you're there. I also stayed at parks where it was just $10 a night, just flat rate, $10. So these are all great money-saving tools that go beyond the 1,000 Trails membership that's part of your package. And there are RPI locations where there are not 1,000 Trails locations. Does that make sense? Anyways, for example, like in the Palm Springs area, there's one 1,000 Trails park, there's one Encore park, and then there's one RPI park. The RPI park does not show up on the 1,000 Trails website, only the two do. You have to go to the RPI website to find that third one that is kind of more hidden and there are tons of access to some really great perks by becoming a 1,000 Trails member, because you also get the benefits of RPI, which is the larger group. Now we know what 1,000 Trails is. Now let's talk about the memberships. In the membership category, they're constantly changing, and they come and go, and they add new ones and they take old ones away. So I'm just going to kind of generally speak, but you're going to want to talk to somebody to get like what's going on currently and what kind of sales or specials are happening right now. There is a basic pass, which is a zone pass, these zone passes are broken up into 5 different sections of the states. And so you can buy just this one zone pass. You can buy the entire country. And even within those sections, there's other ones too. And again, it's been a year since I went through all this and tried to decide which one was best for me, so I might be a little rusty. What I did is I just bought the whole country. I knew I was going full time. I knew that I was going to be traveling a lot, and I didn't want to get just stuck to one area. So I just bought the whole country. And then there's different tiers. So you can buy the all country or the entire country pass, and then there's different levels that you can do. So I bought, I think at the time, was the second to highest level that you can get. It was a lifetime membership. It cost $7,000 to buy. But here's a couple things. First, 1,000 Trails will finance you. Okay, so, or maybe it was 8,000, I forget. But 1,000 Trails will finance you. Okay, so they will do in-house financing for, I forget how many years or something like that. So you don't need to have all that right up front, but you get full membership benefits right out of the gate. Second reason why I went with the full package and that high up is there are some packages where you can only stay for 14 days at a park, and then you have to be out of the system for a certain time before you can come back in. The package that I got, I can stay 21 days in a park as part of my membership before I have to leave. Others, you can only stay 14 days or maybe even less. I'm not sure. But mine, it's 21 days. The other reason why I went with this package is because sometimes I like to plan. With the package that I have, I can book out to 180 days. So I get 6 months of lead time to be able to make my reservations, where maybe somebody in a lower pass might only have 90 days booking window or less. We're going to, like me as a higher end member, I'm going to be able to book these things 6 months in advance, whereas someone else will only be able to do it 30 days in advance or 90 days in advance. So there's a chance that the majority of the campsites are going to be full by the time that you get a chance to get into your booking window. So that's one of those reasons why I wanted to be able to book out 6 months in advance. The other thing that is great with my package is, in my package that I got, I can go from park to park to park. So I can stay 21 days at 1,000 Trails Park, and then I can go straight to another 1,000 Trails Park for another 21 days. I do not have to be out of the system for a specific length of time like some of these lower membership plans are. All of that, if you're full-time and you're going to utilize that's why I thought it was a great deal for me. Let me kind of look into some of these things here. In the year... I did some research. I actually did some homework in these videos. Can you believe that? In the year 2021, my first year of staying full-time, I ended up spending 112 nights in 1,000 Trails parks. 112 nights. I don't know what that equals out to in terms of percentages, maybe like a third maybe. So that's free. A third of the year, 112 nights, was absolutely free camping as part of my membership. So let's do some basic math here. Assuming that it was just a 1 year ROI, $7,000 divided by 112 nights, it equaled out to $62.50 a night. If I just said if it was like a 1 year kind of a thing, but it's not. It's more than that. You know, it's a lifetime pass. That would have been the $62.50 per night average based off of my usage in 2021. Not bad. I mean, considering. And all these sites too, by the way, are full hookups. You know, a lot of amenities, pools, spas, hot tubs, all that. In addition to the 112 nights I spent in 1,000 Trails parks, I also spent an additional 51 days at RPI parks. And those RPI parks have different pricing strategies. They're not free, not part of your membership, but they do cost a little bit extra, or their pricing is a little different. Like, for example, I stayed at the Catalina Hot Springs in Desert Hot Springs, and their package, I think, was you buy one night at regular price and you get the rest at 50% off or something like that. There are some where you just get 50% off your entire rate. And then I stayed at, I think I stayed like 20-something days at parks that were just $10 a night, period. Full hookup, flat rate, $10 a night as part of the RPI thing. So that was another 51 days of savings that I got from 1,000 Trails. So for me, I think in my first year, this was absolutely a great call for me. Just being full-time, being able to book out far enough in advance, and being and living and camping in areas where there are a lot of 1,000 Trails parks. It really worked out for me that way. Now, I do hear people say that they couldn't get spots, that they're never able to reserve. And I honestly think that's because they're on a cheaper plan. They only have maybe a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day booking window. And between the member sites and the general public sites, there's just no availability. If you're trying to get into, like, there's a fantastic site, 500 spots in South Lake Tahoe, California, okay? Gorgeous community. If you're trying to get in there and you're trying to get in July or August or any of these summer months when the demand is at its highest, you're not going to get a reservation 30 days out or 60 days out. You know, you got to book that kind of stuff way back, like right now in January, if you want to be looking at like the summer months for South Lake Tahoe and one of these big touristy destinations. That's one of the reasons why it just doesn't make any sense to go on the lower package unless you're really planning on doing some off-peak camping. I mean, that's just, in my opinion, that's kind of where it is. If you're going to go for this, you have to go all in, and then you've got to use it on top of that. I should do a video or analysis at some point about how many paid spaces I did, how many boondocking nights, how many rallies, how many 1,000 trails. That sounds like a lot of research. It sounds like a lot of work. But if you want to see it, let me know. Leave your comments down below. Now, as far as 1,000 Trails parks go, are they nice? You know, it's kind of like, even though they're all the same park, it's not like you walk into a McDonald's and it's going to look like the same as you walk into a California McDonald's, as you walk into one in Texas or Florida. You know, the franchises have consistency around all locations. So same color scheme, same feel, same community standards, same food. Your burger's going to taste the same no matter which McDonald's you go to. 1,000 Trails, not like that. I don't know why some of them are run so perfectly with the greatest staff and others are just like this total something that's not great, being as nice as I can. I don't know what it is about it that certain places are just more run down than others. The one I stayed at in Acton, California, right outside of LA, I was there in January for a weekend or 4 days or so. And I'm talking about January 21, last year, my first month on the road. There was no power. Most of the sites were all blocked off. You can find some sites that had power but no water. You can find some sites that had water, no power. It was ridiculous the way that it was, and it was all spread out, and there's inconsistencies in staffing and check-ins from park to park. It was just kind of a little bit of a disaster. But I go to somewhere like the Palm Springs one, and everyone's just happy. They're riding around their golf carts and they're waving at you and they're smiling, and you know they're just nice. The Wilderness Lakes one outside of Temecula, California is also the same way. They are smiling, they're waving, the grounds are kept up, the pools are nice. They've got a lot of these amenities that just work. And I just don't know why all of them aren't held to the same standard. I don't know if it's the on-site management, I don't know if it's regional management, I don't know if they're in the process. I mean, let's give them some benefit of the doubt now, right? Maybe they're in the process of getting stuff situated. I don't know. I really don't know as to why they're so inconsistent, I guess is the right frame. Other parks I've been to, you know, let me kind of back up a little bit here before I get into other parks that I've been to. The other thing, there are great park locations, okay? So I had a whole Oregon, Northern California trip planned, and I was going to go hit up they have some great waterfront campgrounds up in the Oregon area. I was going to go through California. They have some in the Russian River, which is a great wine region. If you've never been, it's right outside of Sonoma County and Napa. Sonoma County, and then you have the Russian River. Some great wines up there. They have parks up there. There's parks in San Francisco. There's parks in South Lake Tahoe. There's parks up in the Yosemite area. So we're not talking about BFE parks. You know, we're talking about these locations that are really, really nice, really central to some of the places that everyone wants to be. Santa Barbara, I'm kind of looking at the cheat sheet here. There's places in Santa Barbara. You know, they're in San Diego. I'm just looking over here. I mean, they're in good locations. They're in good spots. So I never got a chance to do all those, and I would love to be able to hit up those locations just because they are are so fantastic. There are 7 different locations in Yuma, Arizona for snowbirds, probably. A great one out in the Verde Valley that I stayed at in Cottonwood, Arizona, another great northern Arizona wine region. They have one in Las Vegas. Las Vegas. So this is one that needs to get their act together. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean, but these guys need to get their act together. When I was there, it was summer. Summer comes around every year, and summer in Vegas is hot every year. It's not like there's a weather anomaly or anything going on here. But they had to clear out the entire campground because the power demand just couldn't keep up. I remember I was here. I think I even did a video about this because I was so upset. We were there, we had 50 amp power, and then all of a sudden it gets hot. Everyone starts kicking on the air conditionings, and then boom, 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 row by row by row by row by row, the power just starts failing. And I talked to other people that were there, and they go, oh yeah, this happens every year. And I'm just, you know it's coming. Just invest the money and fix it, or shut it down, or only book 30%, 40%, 50% of available space, during the summer months. I mean, there's just no planning. I think they're trying to say, yeah, come on in, but at the same time, they know that they're going to make an unhappy customer. I just don't understand the meaning to that, So it's better to say, sorry, we're full, and then never be disappointed than say, yeah, come on in, and then realize that you're going to have no power. And you don't really have a lot of recourse, too, because if you're a member and you're staying there for free, what's your recourse? There's no money they can give you back for your time there. So, anyways, there's a lot there's a couple out here in Tucson. Where else did I stay? I stayed at an RPI park in Utah. A couple of them. My Delta, Utah trip was a RPI park, and now my internet just died. My Wi-Fi. This thing I left in my room, and it overheated earlier, and I think it's doing the same thing. I think I'm having some issues. So is it worth it? If you're a part-timer, no. If there's no close parks next to you or nearby you, or you don't plan on camping where there's parks, not worth it. Don't do it. I think that this is the greatest thing if you're a full-time RVer, but it only works if you get like the highest tier, because you need that booking window. And to really get that ROI, that 21-day limit and the ability to go from park to park to park, you can theoretically never pay for a campsite again. If you stay like in California, you can drive from Santa Barbara to Palm Springs in a day, and you can stay 21 days in Santa Barbara, 21 days in Palm Springs. You can drive down to San Diego, stay 21 days in San Diego. You can drive drive a day and get into like Temecula, stay there for 21 days. You can go up into Acton, California. You stay there for 21 days. You can head up to Northern California. You can head up to Tahoe. You can head up to the wine countries. You can head up to Oregon. All one-day drives. 21 days, you can never have to pay for a campsite ever again. You can book 6 months out and never pay for a campsite and stay at some of the nicest RV resorts with full hookups. I mean, talk about a deal. That is where I think the true value in 1,000 Trails memberships lie. If you're just going to try and just keep in and hope that you might be able to get one, 1,000 Trails has a retail website. It's called RV on the Go for just general use, non-members. You're better off just kind of reserving something over there, because if a campsite has, let's say they have 500 sites at some of these larger resorts, there's an allocation as to how many are for members and how many are for general public. Even if the member site says it's full, you can probably still camp there, except you're gonna have to pay the regular price. Or there was one time I actually went through RPI, and I was able to stay at that campsite for like $10. It wasn't free, but I was at least able to keep on my schedule. That's another way that you can utilize some of these. Overall, my experience with 1,000 Trails has been highly positive. There's only been a few kind of weird things like that Las Vegas thing, but overall, my entire experience with the 1,000 Trails parks, the 1,000 Trails staff, has been highly positive. There hasn't really been any issue that I've had to even think about bringing to the attention of anybody other than Las Vegas, the power issue. That's just the way that it goes. Acton, California, when all that stuff was tore up, that was a thing. But I found out later they were doing a lot of that because they were expanding and they were running new electrical, and all that is a big project. All in all, I highly recommend 1,000 Trails if you are a full-timer. And if you're going to do it, you got to go big. Get that bigger package. Get that 180-day booking window. Get that 21-day thing, like, don't be cheap on this. This is not this area where if you're going to take advantage of your membership, you're going to get value out of your membership. You got to kind of go all in to be able to get that level. And I know it's pricey, I know it's expensive, but when I started budgeting to go full time, I was planning $1,000 a month in camping fees. This is before I heard of 1,000 Trails. I was planning $1,000 a month in camping fees. 30 days, maybe 30, 35 bucks a night, somewhere around that. You boondock in the middle of it somewhere just to kind of keep your costs down. This 7,000 almost, pretty much paid for, like, let's see this. So if I did my 112 nights and I averaged $35 a night, that's a $4,000 savings just right there. I've already more than halfway paid for what I was looking, not even to mention the RPI discounts that I was at. And that's assuming that the campground is 35 bucks a night. I don't think that nowadays many are that cheap. Let's see what it is if it's 45. 112 nights times $45. So now we're at just over 5,000. It works. It's a great benefit if you use it, and you have to use it. That's the key. And you have to go big, because there's a lot of times where if you don't, or if you try, you only have the 30-day window, it says no availability, you go, whatever, and you go book another site. And then when renewal time comes around, you go, well, we never use it, everything's always full, get rid of it. There is value to it, but you have to have that criteria. Again, you have to be full-time. You need to camp where there's things, and you need to have that booking window long enough so that way you can get the sites. That's what's really going to make it work for you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave them in the comments below on what you think of 1,000 Trails. Are you a member? Are you not a member? Have you had good or positive experiences? Drop them in the comments below and let's have a conversation about that, because this is my perspective. Everyone else has seen things differently. I've talked to people who absolutely hate it, who will never go and stay another one again. And then there's people like me where I think, I'm having a really good positive experience. Another thing, in the description below, there is a link, and I'll put it here on the screen, claimthevision.com/1000trails. If you go to that website, you're going to find this video embedded in there, and then there's going to be an email link where you can contact 1,000 Trails for more information if you're interested in this. And they'll go over all of the current packaging information, because again, it changes all the time. So I don't want to tell you one thing and then it be outdated. Just say, hey, Stuart from Claim the Vision sent me. What do you got? What's the specials? What's happening? Where are the deals? Tell me what's going on. And then they'll be able to communicate with you directly, and then you can determine for yourself if it's something that will benefit you or not. And if you do sign up, I get a little, incentive. I think it's like a e-gift card or something like that. But anyways, you can help support me by just buying a membership. But don't do it unless you know you're going to get use out of it. But if you do get a membership, make sure you use it. Make sure you say Claim the Vision sent you, and drop your comments below. I appreciate all the support. Also, be sure to subscribe to this channel if you have not already done so. If you got value, if you learned something new about 1,000 Trails or RPI out of this video, please hit that subscribe button. Just another reminder, Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, we are closing out Vloguary with our live stream. So be on the lookout for that. Mark your calendars. Grab your drinks. It's going to be a little happy hour gathering, and we'll just kind of keep rolling from there. All right. Thanks for watching again. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your support, and I will see you tomorrow for another Vloguary episode.